Alrighty. Alright. Hello, everyone. Happy Sabbath. Back again. There's a lot of confusion when days begin and when months begin and when years begin, which calendar's which. So I want to take a minute and share my understanding about things that are going on. So, first off, I'm going to go, I can't share a whole lot of the Dead Sea Scrolls for copy reasons, but Jubilees was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it was quoted as Torah, or Law of Moses. So that's where the Levites and John the Baptist in the wilderness of Judea, they kept it as scripture. Also, the book of Enoch was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls kept as scripture. And you'll notice if you study them and go through how much the New Testament and all the rest of the scriptures quote those books as scripture. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. But I'm going to start here with Jubilees. This is chapter 1. It came to pass in the first year of the exodus of the children of Israel out of Egypt, in the 3rd month, on the 16th day of the month, that Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, Come up to me on the mount, and I will give thee 2 tables of stone of the law and of the commandment, which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. And Moses went up into the mount of Yahuwah, and the glory of Yahuwah abode on Mount Sinai, and a cloud overshadowed it 6 days. And he called to Moses on the 7th day out of the midst of the cloud, and the appearance of the glory of Yahuwah was like a flaming fire on the top of the mount. Interesting, that's the same time he spoke to John on the Lord's day, the Sabbath day, in Revelation. And Moses was on the mount 40 days and 40 nights, and Yahuwah taught him the earlier and the latter history of the division of all the days of the law and of the testimony. And he said, Incline thine heart to every word which I shall speak to thee on this mount, and write them in a book, in order that their generations may see how I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have wrought in transgressing the covenant which I established between me and thee for their generations this day on Mount Sinai. And I will say one thing: the scholars will date the Book of Jubilees to like 200 BC, because that's when the copy they found. But they don't date Genesis to 200 BC, and that's the copy they found. They know Genesis was written well before that. So you can't always listen to what they're saying, because it makes no sense to date Jubilees to 200 BC, and it tells you itself who the author is, when it was written, and you date Genesis to before 200 BC, and the copies you found were the same era. Makes no sense. And thus it will come to pass, when all these things come upon them, that they will recognize that I am more righteous than they in all their judgments and all their actions, and they will recognize that I have been truly with them. And do thou write for thyself all these words which I declare unto thee this day, for I know their rebellion and their stiff neck, before I bring them into the land of which I swear to their fathers, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, saying, Unto your seed will I give a land flowing with milk and honey, and they will eat and be satisfied, and they will turn to strange gods, to gods which cannot deliver them from aught of their tribulation. And this witness shall be heard for a witness against them, for they will forget all my commandments, even all that I command them, and they will walk after the Gentiles, and after their uncleanness, and after their shame, and will serve their gods, and these will prove an offense and a tribulation and an affliction and a snare. And many will perish, and they will be taken captive, and will fall into the hands of the enemy, because they have forsaken my ordinances and my commandments, and the festivals of my covenant, and my Sabbaths, and my holy place, which I have hallowed for myself in their midst, and my tabernacle, and my sanctuary, which I have hallowed for myself in the midst of the land, that I should set my name upon it, and that it should dwell there. And they will make to themselves high places and groves and graven images, and they will worship each one his own graven image, so as to go astray, and they will sacrifice their children to demons and to all the works of the error of their hearts. And I will send witnesses unto them that I may witness against them, but they will not hear, and will slay the witnesses also, and they will persecute those who seek the law, and they will abrogate and change everything so as to work evil before my eyes. And I shall hide my face from them, and I shall deliver them into the hands of the Gentiles for captivity, already happened, and for prey and for devouring. I shall remove them from the midst of the land, and I shall scatter them amongst the Gentiles. The New Testament writers knew this, but the church is completely ignorant, I guess. James 1, no, I don't guess, I know. James, the servant of Yahuwah and of Yahushua, Mashiach, Messiah, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Greeting. I shall scatter them amongst the Gentiles. And they will forget all my law and all my commandments and all my judgments, and will go astray as to new months, not moons, and Sabbaths, and festivals, and jubilees, and ordinances. And after this they will turn to me from amongst the Gentiles with all their heart, and with all their soul, and with all their strength. I shall gather them from amongst the Gentiles, and they will seek me, so that I shall be found of them when they seek me with all their heart and with all their soul. And I shall disclose to them abounding peace with righteousness, and I shall remove them the plant of uprightness with all my heart and with all my soul. And they will be for a blessing and not a curse, and they will be for the head and not the tail. And I shall build my sanctuary in their midst, and I shall dwell with them, and I shall be their Elohim, and they will be my people in truth and righteousness. So if he's got to build his sanctuary in the midst, does that mean we have a sanctuary now? That's why Paul said, you are the temple. And I shall not forsake them nor fail them, for I am Yahuwah their Elohim. And Moses fell on his face and prayed and said, O Yahuwah my Elohim, do not forsake thy people and thy inheritance, so that they should wander in the error of their hearts, and do not deliver them into the hands of their enemies, the Gentiles, lest they should rule over them, and cause them to sin against thee. Let thy mercy, O Yahuwah, be lifted up upon thy people, and create in them an upright spirit, and let not the spirit of Beliar rule over them. You'll see that quite a bit in the Dead Sea Scrolls. To accuse them before thee, and to ensnare them from all the paths of righteousness, so that they may perish from before thy face. But they are thy people and thy inheritance, which thou hast delivered with thy great power from the hands of the Egyptians. Create in them a clean heart and a holy spirit, and let them not be ensnared in their sins from henceforth until eternity. And Yahuwah said unto Moses, I know their contrariness and their thoughts and their stiff-neckedness, and they will not be obedient till they confess their own sin and the sins of their fathers. And after this they will turn to me in all uprightness and with all their heart. And sounds like Daniel chapter 9. That's what Daniel did. And with all their heart, with all their soul, I shall circumcise the foreskin of their heart and the foreskin of the heart of their seed. And I shall create in them a holy spirit, and I shall cleanse them so that they shall not turn away from me from that day until eternity. And their souls will cleave to me into all my commandments, and they will fulfill my commandments, and I shall be their father, and they will be my children. And they will all be called the children of the living God, and every angel and every spirit will know, yea, they will know that these are my children, and I am their father in uprightness and righteousness, and that I love them. And do thou write down for thyself all these words which I declare unto thee on this mountain, the first and the last, which shall come to pass in all the divisions of the days. This is what they call the book of Jubilees in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the book of the division of the days, in the law and in the testimony and the weeks, and jubilees unto eternity, and I descend until I descend and dwell with them throughout eternity. You'll notice some parallels here from the notes. Exodus, Deuteronomy, Chronicles, Matthew, 2 Kings, Jeremiah 29, Zechariah 8, Leviticus, Psalms, Hosea. So, if the book of Jubilees lines up with Scripture, guess what? It lines up with Scripture. If it don't, it's not. And he said to the angel of the presence, write for Moses from the beginning of creation till my sanctuary has been built among them for all eternity, and Yahuwah will appear to the eyes of all, and all will know that I am Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, and the father of all the children of Jacob, and king on Mount Zion for all eternity. and Zion and Jerusalem will be holy. And the angel of the presence who went before the camp of Israel took the tables of the divisions of the years from the time of the creation, and of the law, and of the testimony of the weeks, of the jubilees according to the individual years, according to the number of the jubilees, according to the individual years, from the day of the new creation, when the heavens and the earth shall be renewed, and all their creation according to the powers of heaven, and according to all the creation of the earth. See, renewed, Isaiah. Yep, heavens and the earth. The new creation, Isaiah 66:22. Yeah, 22, I think. Until the sanctuary of Yahuwah shall be made in Jerusalem on Mount Zion, and all the luminaries be renewed for healing and for peace and for blessing for all the elect of Israel. New heavens and earth for the elect of Israel. Yep, Israel's still in play, and that thus it may be from that day and unto all the days of the earth. Yep, you'll see the testaments of the 12 patriarchs, Isaiah, Galatians, law ordained through angels. Judaism rejected this idea. Of course they do. They twist the scripture and make their own traditions. Revelation 1, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Exodus. Chapter 2, and the angel of the presence spake to Moses according to the word of Yahuwah, saying, Write the complete history of the creation, how in 6 days Yahuwah Elohim finished all his works and all that he created, and kept Sabbath on the 7th day, and hallowed it for all ages, and appointed as a sign for all his works. From the first day he created the heavens which are above, and the earth, and the waters, and all the spirits which serve before him, the angels of the presence, and the angels of sanctification, and the angels of the spirit of fire, and the angels of the spirit of the winds, and the angels of the spirit of the clouds, and of darkness, and of snow, and of hail, and of hoarfrost, and the angels of the voices, and of the thunder, and the lightning, and the angels of the spirits of cold, and of heat, and of winter, and of spring, and of autumn, and of summer, and all the spirits of his creatures which are in the heavens and on the earth. He created the abysses and the darkness, eventide and night, the light, dawn and day, which he hath prepared in the knowledge of his heart. And thereupon we saw his works, and praised him, and lauded before him on account of all his works. For 7 great works did he create on the first day. And on the second day he created the firmament in the midst of the waters, and the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went up above, and half of them went down below the firmament that was in the midst over the face of the whole earth. And this was the only work Yahuwah created on the second day. And on the third day he commanded the waters to pass off from off the face of the whole earth into one place, and the dry land to appear. And the waters did so as he commanded them, and they retired from off the face of the earth into one place outside of this firmament, and the dry land appeared. And on that day he created for them all the seas according to their separate gathering places, and all the rivers, and the gatherings of the waters, and the mountains, and on all the earth, and all the lakes, and all the dew of the earth, and the sea which is sown, and all sprouting things, and fruit-bearing trees, and trees of the wood, and the garden of Eden, and all plants after their kind. These 4 great works Yahuwah created on the third day. And on the fourth day he created the sun, the moon, and the stars, and set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And Yahuwah appointed the sun to be a great sign on earth for days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbaths of years, and for jubilees, and for all seasons of the years. Very important. And it divideth the light from the darkness, and for prosperity, that all things may prosper which shoot and grow on the earth. These 3 kinds he made on the fourth day. And on the 5th day he created the great sea monsters in the depths of the waters, for these were the first things of flesh that were created by his hands, the fish, and everything that moves in the waters, and everything that flies, the birds, and all their kind. And the sun rose above them to prosper them, and above everything that was on the earth, everything that shoots out of the earth, and all fruit-bearing trees, and all flesh. These 3 kinds he created on the 5th day. And on the 6th day he created all the animals of the earth, and all cattle, and everything that moves on the earth. And after all this he created man. A man and a woman created he them, and gave him dominion over all that is upon the earth, and in the seas, and over everything that flies, and over beasts, and over cattle, and over everything that moves on the earth, and over the whole earth. And over all this he gave him dominion. And these 4 kinds he created on the 6th day, and there were altogether 22 kinds. And he finished his work on the 6th day. all that is in the heavens and on the earth, and in the seas and in the abysses, and in light and in darkness and everything. He gave us a great sign, the Sabbath day. So the sun is a great sign, and the Sabbath is a great sign. That we should work 6 days, but keep the Sabbath on the 7th day from all work. Alright, so you see what the sun's for. The God Yahuwah Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days and for Sabbaths and for months and for feasts and for years and for Sabbaths of years and for jubilees and for all seasons of the years. Genesis 1, in the beginning Yahuwah created the heaven and the earth. Genesis is I don't want to say a secondary text, but it quotes Jubilees. The two books go together. So when we have Genesis and we read Genesis and we don't have Jubilees for certain references or context, we'll mess up in Genesis. In the beginning, Yahuwah created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of Yahuwah moved upon the face of the waters, and Yahuwah said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And Yahuwah saw the light, that it was good, and Yahuwah divided the light from the darkness. And Yahuwah called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So what happens at evening when the sun goes down? Darkness. Day, night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. So he called this light day and darkness night, and then the evening and the morning day one. And Yahuwah said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." Where's the firmament? Up above. Where's the waters? Sky's blue. Up above. Waters below, waters above. And Yahuwah made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. So he did all this work here, and Yahuwah called the firmament heaven, so that he sits in the heavens. The earth is his footstool, so guess where the firmament's at? There's water above the firmament, tells you there. And the evening and the morning were the second day. So he did all this work, and then evening, then morning, day two, complete. And Yahuwah said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And Yahuwah called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And Yahuwah saw that it was good. And Yahuwah said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. You'll see apples have seeds in them. And Yahuwah saw that it was good. He did all this work, and then evening, and then morning, day three complete. And Yahuwah said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to light over the earth, and to divide the day from the night," dividing day from night, "and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years." Yahuwah appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbaths of years, and for jubilees, and for all seasons of the years. Let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. Yahuwah made two great lights. The greater light, so two great lights. The greater light to rule the day, greater, and lesser light to rule the night. Still two great lights, one greater than the other. He made the stars also. So the greater light to rule the day, the sun. When's the day? When the sun is up. And Yahuwah set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And Yahuwah saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning came, fourth day complete. And Yahuwah said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." And Yahuwah created great whales. That's an interesting translation. Here it says, great sea monsters. "And every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind." I guess a whale could be considered a sea monster. I'm thinking more of a leviathan. "And every winged fowl after his kind, and Yahuwah saw that it was good." But he did have to create wells too. And Yahuwah blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. Then evening came, and then morning came, day 5, complete. And Yahuwah said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And Yahuwah made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And Yahuwah saw that it was good. And Yahuwah said, Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Who's our? Well, we got a father and we've got a son. And the angels don't create. So guess what? Elohim, Father and Son, let us make man in our image, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Yahuwah created man in his own image. In the image of Yahuwah created he him. Male and female created he them, and Yahuwah blessed them. And Yahuwah said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And Yahuwah said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat, bread, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And Yahuwah saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning came, day 6 complete. Now, so Jubilees. Chapter 6. Alright, so command thou the children of Israel that they shall observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days, and these will constitute a complete year, and they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feasts, for everything will fall out in them according to their testimony, and they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feast. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, then they will disturb all their seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this order. And they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged, and they will neglect their ordinances, and the children of Israel will forget, and will not find the path of the years, and will forget new months, not moons, and seasons, and Sabbaths, and they will go wrong as to all the order of the years. For I know, and from henceforth shall I declare unto thee, that it is not of my own devising, for the book lieth written before me, and on the heavenly tablets the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant, and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles, after their error and after their ignorance. For there will be those who surely make observations of the moon, how it disturbeth the seasons, and cometh in from year to year 10 days too soon. So if you follow the moon, you're off 10 days. 10 days in the year, you're off. For this reason the years will come upon them when they disturb the order, and make an abominable day the day of a testimony, and make an unclean day a feast day. And they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy, for they will go wrong as to months and Sabbaths and feasts and jubilees. Love Brother Adam at Parable of the Vineyard, but he messed this up completely. We're commanded to keep the Sabbath day holy, correct? So that makes other days of the week common or unclean. Or if you keep a holy day on an unholy day, it turns into an abominable day. It's a common day, and the days that are set apart are supposed to be, you're not supposed to work, you're not supposed to buy or sell, you're not supposed to defile them, so to speak. So this is 100% correct. When you screw up we screw up the calendar and the days and all that stuff, that's like saying you keep the Sabbath holy, but we're keeping it on Sunday, and Sunday's not the day. We know that. Christians don't know that, but we know that. So we keep Sunday. You're making it a Sabbath day when it's not a Sabbath day. No, it's not cool. And it tells you in Jubilees also that the heavenly calendar, they keep the things in heaven. It's supposed to, the earth is supposed to be a reflection of his heavenly things, like his tabernacle and everything. Well, his calendar and his holy days are a reflection of heaven also. For this reason I command and testify to thee, that thou mayest testify to them, for after thy death thy children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only. When you follow the moon and do 354 days, and then every 3 years you have to add another month, that is messing the calendar up. And for this reason they will go wrong as to new moons and seasons and Sabbaths and festivals, and they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh. This already happened. It got messed up completely. We're in the end game here. This has already come to pass. What we're trying to do now is, well, what's happening now is he's waking us up. This already happened. Daniel 7:25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. You look in the 300s, Constantine issued a Sunday edict, outlawed Sabbath keeping, outlawed feast keeping. They were keeping the biblical feast, and he said everybody had to keep Sunday and Easter. This already happened. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of time. Well, until there's a lot of people waking up now that's coming out of it. So is the time and dividing of time over? So, and we were given back the Dead Sea Scrolls. It has a lot more information in it that I can't go over here. But the Levites and the Dead Sea Scrolls were in direct opposition to the Pharisees, Sadducees, and the people that were ruling the people that Messiah was going against. And Messiah went into the wilderness of Judea. John the Baptist was in the wilderness of Judea. You can look where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. And they expose a lot of the lies. And we were giving them back to us at the end. So we can either praise Yah and learn from what he's given us, or just ignore it and keep following man. Wilderness of Judea. Qumran Scrolls. Oh yeah, okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's a good one. See? Wilderness of Judea. The Jordan River runs into here. They said he was baptized at the Jordan. Well, there's a city there that's got baptismals built all into it. So, a lot of people don't like it because it exposes their error. But are we going to be corrected, or are we going to stay in error? I'd rather have it right. I'd rather be wrong to be right. All right, so Enoch. So if we go to Enoch 41 here, he's the first prophet, the first one to write. Jubilees tells you that. The seventh from Adam. He saw all the creation. Verse 5, chapter 41. And I saw the chambers of the sun and moon, whence they proceed, and whither they come again, their glorious return, and how one is superior to the other, that's the sun, and their stately orbit, and how they do not leave their orbit, and they add nothing to their orbit, and they take nothing from it. And they keep faith with each other in accordance with the oath by which they are bound together. And first the sun goes forth, first, at sunrise, the first part of the day, the sun goes forth and traverses his path, according to the commandment of Yahuwah of spirits, and mighty is his name forever and ever. And after that, when the evening and night comes on, I saw the hidden invisible path of the moon. She accomplishes the course of her path in that place day by day, and by night, the one holding a position opposite to the other before Yahuwah of spirits. Alright, so chapter 72, the book of the courses of luminaries of heaven, the relations of each according to their classes, their dominion, and their seasons according to their names and the places of origin, and according to their months, which Uriel, the holy angel who is with me, who is their guide, showed me, and he showed me all their laws exactly as they are, and how it is regarded with regard to all the years of the world and unto eternity. I think this is supposed to be serial, not Uriel. And till the new creation is accomplished, which dureth till eternity. And this is the first law of the luminaries, the luminary of the sun. First, sun has its rising in the eastern portals of heaven, and its setting in the western portals of heaven. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises, and 6 portals in which the sun sets. And the moon rises, and the sun and sets in these portals. And the leaders of the stars, and those whom they lead, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all following each other in accurately corresponding order. Also many windows to the right and left of these portals. And first there goes forth the great luminary, named the sun, first. And his circumference is like the circumference of heaven, and he is quite filled with illuminating and heating fire. The chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east, and is so guided that he comes to the appropriate portal and shines in the face of the heaven. In this way he rises in the first month in the great portal, which is the 4th. Okay, so you'll see, you can see the sunrises change. If you pay attention, it'll come, it'll rise here, 30 or 31 days. Happy Sabbath, Mick. And so the next one, it'll rise in this one, and then in this one, and in this one. So it'll move portals, sunrise, sunset. You can see it with your eyes. And in that 4th portal from which the sun rises in the first month are 12 window openings, from which proceed a flame when they are open in their season. When the sun rises in heaven, he comes forth through that portal 30 mornings in succession. That's month 1, and sets accurately in the 4th portal in the west of heaven. So 4th portal, 30 days, month 1. During this period, the day becomes daily longer, and the night nightly shorter to the 30th morning. So you can look at the length of the day, and you can see through apps or whatever, the day grows longer. On that day, the day is longer than the night by 9th part, and the day amounts to exactly 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. So it's an 18-part day. It's not 24 hours. I think it's like an hour and a half, 18 parts. And the sun rises from that 4th portal. It sets in the 4th and returns to the 5th portal of the east 30 mornings, and rises from it and sets in the 5th portal. So the next month, 30 mornings, you'll see the sun switch. If you pay attention, you'll see the sunrise switch and the sunset switch. That's the next month. Then the day becomes longer by 2 parts and amounts to 11 parts, and the night becomes shorter and amounts to 7 parts, and it returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal, and rises and sets in the 6th portal 1 and 31 mornings on account of its sign. So this is 31 days. You'll see it switch again to another portal. Switch, sunrise, sunset, different sunset, different sunrise. 31 days. So the first quarter, 91 days. Now we're going to the 4th month. The sun mounts up to make the day shorter. So the day, when this 4th month begins, the days start getting shorter. And the night longer, and the sun returns to the east and enters into the 6th portal and rises from it and sets 30 mornings. And when 30 mornings are accomplished, the day decreases by exactly 1 part and becomes 11 parts, and the night 7. And the sun goes forth from that 6th portal in the west and goes to the east and rises in the 5th portal for 30 mornings and sets in the west again in the 5th western portal. On that day, the day decreases by 2 parts and amounts to 10 parts, and the night to 8 parts. And the sun goes forth from the 5th portal and sets in the 5th portal of the west and rises in the 4th portal for 1 and 30 mornings. On account of its sign, it sets in the west. So, sun goes from that 5th portal and sets. Yep, so here it goes from 6th portal to 5th portal, so it starts switching back. 30 mornings, and then it goes from 6th to 5th. Sun goes from the 5th. Right. 6. Is that 30 mornings are accomplished? In the 6th portal. Okay, it stays in the 6th portal for another 30 mornings. Then it switches 30 mornings. Then it switches back to the 4th portal 31 mornings. So you'll see how it stayed in the 6th portal for 2 months. But then it switched, and then it switched, and then it switched again. And then we get to month 7 is where we're at now. So you got the 30, the sun goes forth from the 5th portal, sets in the 5th portal in the west, and rises in the 4th portal for 31 and 30 mornings on account of its sign, and sets in the west. Month 7, 91 days, and then month 7. On that day, the day is equalized with the night and becomes of equal length, and the night amounts to 9 parts and the day to 9 parts. So the last day of the 6 month is equal day, equal night. Right? 91 days, month 7. And the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west and returns to the east and rises 30 mornings in the 3rd portal and sets in the west in the 3rd portal. So it switches portals in month 7, 30 days. And on that day, the night becomes longer than the day. So you'll see, you go to the last day of the 7th month, the night becomes longer than the day, and the night becomes longer than night, and the day shorter than day till the 30th morning, and the night amounts to exactly 10 parts, and the day to 8 parts. And the sun rises from that 3rd portal and sets in the 3rd portal in the west and returns to the east for 30 mornings in the 2nd portal. So it switches. In like manner, sits in the 2nd portal in the west of heaven, so you can see it switch again. And on that day, the night amounts to 11 parts, and the day to 7 parts. And the sun rises on that day from the 2nd portal and sets in the west in the 2nd portal, and returns to the east in the 1st portal for 1 and 31 mornings. So it switches portals again. You can see the sunrise switch, 31 mornings, and it sets in the 1st portal in the west of heaven. And on that day, the night becomes longer and amounts to double the day. So you can see it at the end of the 3rd quarter, the end of the 9th month. The night's going to be longer and double the day. Okay, then the first day, so it'll be first day of the 10th month. And the sun has therewith traversed the divisions of his orbit and turns again on those divisions of his orbits and enters that portal 30 mornings and sets also in the west opposite to it. On that night has the night decreased in length by a 9th part, and the night has become 11 parts and the day 7 parts. And the sun has returned and entered into the 2nd portal in the east and returns on those his divisions of his orbit for 30 mornings, rising and setting. Month 10, and on that day the night decreases in length, and the night amounts to 10 parts, and the day to 8. And on that day the sun rises from that portal and sets in the west and returns to the east and rises in the 3rd portal for 1 and 30 mornings. Okay, so that's month 12. So you got month 10 here, month 10, month 11. Okay, so when you got 31 days, that's the last month of the quarter. That's month 12. It's a little difficult to follow, but month 12 will be 31 mornings, sets in the west of heaven. On that day, the night decreases and amounts to 9 parts, and the day to 9 parts, and the night is equal to the day, and the year is exactly as to its days, 364. At the end of month 12, the day and night are equal. And the very next day is the first day of the new year. Day and night is equal. 3rd quarter, 31 days in the 12th month, year complete. And the length of the day and of the night and the shortness of the day and of the night arise through the course of the sun. These distinctions are made. So it comes that its course becomes daily longer and its course nightly shorter. So you can take right here, the end of the year, and then you can go right back up here and start again in the 1st month, and it'll come back down and line up completely. See, once you go back here to the 1st month, you'll see the first day, the days start growing longer. The days were equal, and then back up the top, the days start growing longer. You can see, you can look it up with your own eyes and see the days growing longer, the days growing shorter, the days being equal, the sun changing its gates. You can see all that. And this is the law in the course of the sun, and his return is often as he returns 60 times and rises, the great luminary which is named the sun, forever and ever. And that which thus rises, the great luminary, greater light. We've seen that in Genesis. So where's it at? I think it's 14. 15, 16. Two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, right? The great luminary, and so named according to its appearance. And you also see here, great luminary, greater light. Got to point the sign to be a great sign. And is so named according to its appearance, according to as Yahuwah commanded. As he rises, so he sets and decreases not, and rests not, but runs day and night. And his light is sevenfold brighter than that of the moon. But as regards size, they are both equal. Okay, you're going to see, where's that at? Now I wonder that, I don't know. I wonder sometimes when people can't get this, I think that they may be so attached to their congregations that, you know, if you see something in the scriptures and you start following it and it's different than your congregation that you go to and what everybody's doing, and you start doing it, then you're going to be separating yourself from your congregation. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They love their congregation. And I don't blame them. It's nice to have a place to go and be with people, but does being with people trump what the Word says and what we're supposed to do? If he shows me something in Scripture and I ignore him and I just keep doing what everybody else is doing, you know. So chapter 73, after this I saw another law dealing with the smaller luminary, which is named the moon. See? Smaller luminary, named the moon, the lesser light to rule the night. Yep. To rule day and night. He created the sun, the moon, day and night. So you go through here, and this is all over the place. I don't get the moon. They had in the Dead Sea Scrolls, they had the sun charted out, and they had the moon charted out exactly. I don't know how they did it. The moon is nuts. You try to follow the moon, and it's all over the place. And I look up the stars, and I'm like, this makes no sense to me. So, I mean, some of it you kind of get, like I've read it. I can't get it. It's a miracle that I understand this. I was reading Enoch in December. I started reading through it again, and I got to 72, and I read this, and I go, wow! You can see the sun change portals, and you can see the day and night length, and it lines up perfectly. And then the next day, I think it was, I looked at the day and night length, and it lined up perfectly, equal day, equal night. And I was like, just blew me away. Praise Yah. But the moon stuff is like, what? I just want to go over something with the moon here that I think a lot of people trip up over. First. First day. Maybe I should read it. And her circumference is like the circumference of heaven, and her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind. and light is given to her in definite measure, and her rising and setting change every month, and her days are like the days of the sun, and when her light is uniform, full, that's a translator note, it amounts to a seventh part of the light of the sun. And thus she rises, and her first phase in the east becomes fourth on the 30th morning. So her first phase comes on 30th morning. And on that day she becomes visible. A lot of people, when they see the first sliver of the moon, it comes visible, they say that's the first day of the month. This says 30th morning she becomes visible. It constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the portal where the sun rises. And the one half of her goes forth by a seventh part, and her whole circumference is empty without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of it, and the 14th part of her light. And when she receives 1/7 part of the half of her light amounts to 1/7 part in the half thereof. And she sets with the sun, and when the sun rises, the moon rises with him, and receives the half of one part of light. And in that night, in the beginning of her morning, in the commencement of the lunar day, not solar day, the moon sets with the sun and is invisible that night with the 14 parts and a half one of them. And she rises on that day with exactly a seventh part, and comes forth and receives from the rising of the sun, and in her remaining days she becomes bright in the remaining 13 parts. And I saw another course, a law for her, and how according to that law she performs her monthly revolution. And all these Siriel, the holy angel, who is the leader of them all, showed me in their positions, and I wrote down their positions as he showed them to me, and I wrote down their months as they were, and the appearance of their lights till 15 days were accomplished. In a single seventh parts she accomplishes all her light in the east, and in a single seventh parts accomplishes all her darkness in the west. And in certain months she alters her settings, and in certain months she pursues her own peculiar course. In 2 months the moon sets with the sun. In those two middle portals, the third and the fourth, she goes forth for 7 days, turns about, and returns again through the portal where the sun rises. Anybody that uses a moon for a calendar, tell me what days this stuff happens on. And accomplishes all her light. She recedes from the sun, and in 8 days enters the sixth portal, from which the sun goes forth. And when the sun goes forth from the fourth portal, she goes forth 7 days, until she goes forth from the fifth, and turns back again in 7 days into the fourth portal, and accomplishes all her light. Crazy. And she recedes and enters into the first portal in 8 days, and she returns again in 7 days into the fourth portal, from which the sun goes forth. Thus I saw their position, how the moons rose and the sun set in those days. And if 5 years are added together, the sun has an overplus of 30 days, and all the days which accrue for it are for one of those 5 years, when they are full, amount to 364 days. And the overplus of the sun and the stars amount to 6 days in 5 years. 6 days every year come to 30 days, and the moon falls behind the sun and stars to the number of 30 days. The moon falls behind. Then the sun and the stars bring in all the years exactly, so they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto eternity. Now the Sefer uses an older translation that says the moon and the stars bring in all the years exactly, but this is R.H. Charles, where he fixed their mistake when they translated the Ethiopian, and it is sun and stars that bring in all the years exactly. The Sefer follows the Jews, they use the moon. So they do not advance or delay their position by a single day unto eternity. We're supposed to follow Messiah, not Jews, but complete the years with perfect justice in 364 days. In 3 years there are 1,092 days, and in 5 years 1,820 days, so that in 8 years there are 2,912 days. For the moon alone, the days amount in 3 years to 1,062 days, and in 5 years she falls 50 days behind. To the sum of 1770 there is to be added 1,062 days, and in 5 years there are 1,770 days, so that for the moon the days in 8 years amount to 2,832 days. For in 8 years she falls behind to the amount of 80 days. All the days she falls behind in 8 years are 80 days. And the years accurately completed in conformity with their world stations, and the world stations, that's the stars, and the stations of the sun, which rise from the portals through which the sun rises and sets 30 days, with an extra day every quarter. Sets 30 days every month, extra day every quarter. The year is accurately completed. That's why they add, when they follow the moon, they add a month, 13 months. because their calendar messed up, Chapter 75, and the leaders of the heads of the 1,000 who are placed over the whole creation and over all the stars have also to do with the 4 intercalary days, being inseparable from their office according to the reckoning of the year, and these render service on the 4 days which are not reckoned in the reckoning of the year. And owing to them men go wrong therein. For these luminaries truly render service on the world stations, one in the first portal, one in the third portal, one in the fourth portal, one in the sixth portal. You'll notice every quarter, that's the sun that's going at the end of the quarter. That's the portal. And the exactness of the year is accomplished through its 364 stations. 364. For the signs and the times and the years and the days, the angel Uriel showed me, Sariel, whom Yahuwah of glory has set forever over all the luminaries of the heaven and in the world, that they should rule on the face of the heaven and be seen on the earth, and be leaders for the day and night, the sun, moon, and stars, and all the ministering creatures which make their revolution, and all the chariots of the heaven. In like manner 12 doors, Sariel showed me, open in the circumference of the sun's chariot in the heaven, through which the rays of the sun break forth, and from them is warmth diffused over the earth, when they are opened at their appointed seasons, and for the winds and the spirit of the dew, when they are opened, standing open in the heavens at the ends, as for the 12 portals in the heaven at the ends of the earth, out of which go forth the sun, moon, and stars, and all the works of heaven in the east and in the west. And it's not, the map's not like they tell us. So when you see the sun rise in the west, and rise in the east and set in the west, Oriental, the land of the rising sun, the east Orient. See, it rises, but its course is around. You'll see it's around. Rises in the east, runs around, sets in the west. As for the 12 portals in the heaven at the ends of the earth, out of which go forth the sun and moon and stars and all the works of the heaven in the east and in the west, there are many windows open to the left and right of them, and one window at its appointed season produces warmth, corresponding as these do to those doors from which the stars come forth, according as he has commanded them, and wherein they set corresponding to their number. And I saw chariots in the heaven running in the world above those portals, in which revolve the stars that never set, and one is larger than all the rest, and all it is that makes its course through the entire world. That's interesting. One is larger than the rest. Star. You'll see that one big star, the brightest star out there. And it's at different points too. You can read about the portals. Yeah, so the first quarter, second quarter, I recommend reading all that. I'm not going to go through all that. Yep. Let's see. Enoch saw everything. It's interesting here. The days of the sinners, the years will be shortened. Well, the Messiah said the years will be shortened. In the Charlesworth translation, it says the winter will be shortened here. Not the calendar year, the winter. And Messiah tells us also, pray that your flight's not in Sabbath or in the winter. So if somebody had Enoch and knew what Messiah was quoting, they would know exactly what he was talking about. Now, chapter 82, now my son Methuselah, all these things I am recounting to you and writing down for thee, and I have revealed to thee everything, and given thee books concerning all these. So preserve my son Methuselah the books from thy father's hand, and see thou deliver them to the generations of the world. I have given wisdom to thee and to thy children, and thy children that it shall be to thee, that they may give it to their children for generations, this wisdom, namely, that passeth their thought. And those who understand it shall not sleep, but shall listen with ear, that they may learn this wisdom, and it shall please those that eat thereof better than good food. Blessed are the righteous, blessed are all those who walk in the way of righteousness and sin not as the sinners, in the reckoning of all their days, in which the sun transverses the heaven. Why is the sun mentioned here? Entering into and departing from the portals for 30 days with the heads of thousands in the order of the stars, together with the four which are intercalculated, which divide the four portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. He tells you right here, sin not as the sinners, in the reckoning of their days, sun, portals 30 days, owing to them men shall be at fault and not reckon them in the whole reckoning of the year. Yea, men shall be at fault and not recognize them accurately, for they belong to the reckoning of the year and are truly recorded thereon forever, one in the first portal, one in the third, one in the fourth, and one in the sixth, and the year is completed in 364 days. And the account thereof is accurate, and the recorded reckoning thereof exact, for the luminaries and months and festivals and years and days, as Cyril has shown and revealed to me, to whom Yahuwah of the whole creation of the world has subjected the host of heaven, and he has power over night and day in the heaven to cause light, to give light to men, sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of heaven which revolve in their circular chariots. Circle. And these are the orders of the stars which set in their places and in their seasons and festivals and months. That's just my understanding on it. So, go test it. TorahIsLight.org. From what I've observed from the sun and the length of the days, they're pretty close. This is what I'm using. I'm using their calendar, TorahIsLight.org, and the Zadok Way calendar. Those are the two closest calendars I've found to what I see in the scriptures and what I can see with my eyes when I walk outside. Psalms 104, he appointed the moon for seasons. John 20:19, then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week when the doors were shut. How's it the same day at evening if the day begins at evening? The day begins in the morning. Luke 24:29, but they constrained him, saying, abide with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is far spent. Okay, if the day begins at evening, the day is not far spent. Judges 19:9, and when the man arose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, behold, now the day draweth toward evening. I pray you tarry all night. So the day draws toward evening. That means the day didn't begin in the evening. Acts 28:23, and when they appointed him a day, there came many to him into his lodging, to whom he expounded and testified the kingdom of Yahuwah, persuading them concerning Yahusha, both out of the law of Moses and out of the prophets, from morning till evening. They appointed him a day, from morning till evening. Leviticus 23. If you look here, he has to tell us to keep the feast from evening to evening because it starts at evening to evening. Other times he doesn't tell us because it doesn't start. And on the 10th day of the 7th month there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you. You shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah. You shall do no work in the same day, for it is the day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before Yahuwah. You see here, so the 10th day is the day of atonement. It tells you right here. Go down here. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest. You shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at evening. Hold on, he just told us the 10th day is the day of atonement. From even unto even shall you celebrate your Sabbath. So if it's even to even and it starts on the 9th day, if the day starts at evening, when the 10th day comes around, the day of atonement is over. It can't be on the 10th day if the day starts at evening. If the 10th day starts during the day, you can start at the 9th day at evening, and it's going to roll into the 10th day in the morning and end in the evening. So it's going to be on the 9th starting, and the 10th day, the day of atonement. You start it from evening to evening. Mark 15:33, when the 6th hour was come, there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. Okay, so if the day starts at evening, and evening is 7 p.m., the night comes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. That's 1 o'clock in the morning after midnight. Is it dark? That's the 6th hour. There's darkness over the whole land. Of course there's darkness over the whole land. Why would they tell us there's darkness over the whole land? because the 6th hour is not at 1 o'clock in the morning. The 6th hour is, okay, say sun's up at 7 o'clock, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock p.m. Shortly after lunchtime, darkness over the whole land. Jeremiah 6:4, prepare you war against her, arise and let us go up at noon. Woe unto us, for the day goeth away, for the shadows of the evening are stretched out. The day goeth away, and the shadows of evening are stretched out. Alright. Most people use the Jewish calendar that follows the moon. Lunar calendar. We add a 13th month every few years to make a leap year. The Romans add a leap year in February, or leap month, leap days, whatever, because their calendar's out too. It's not as far out as this thing is. They add a whole month. So we look at, Revelation. Revelation 22:2, in the midst of the street of it, and on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manners of fruits. 12 months, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for healing of the nations. Okay, if there's 13 months, you'd have 13 fruits. But you don't have 13 fruits because there's not 13 months. 12. The Jewish calendar is wrong. They walk in darkness, blind. They don't follow Messiah. They ignore the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Roman calendar is wrong. They start it in the winter time when everything's dead because they worship the sun when the days start growing longer. The day does not start at midnight with the Romans, and it does not start at evening with the Jews. It starts in the morning, and it starts when the new year begins in the spring, new life, just like our Father in heaven would do it. And the year comes in perfectly, 52 weeks, 7 days a week, 364 days. "52 weeks, 52 Sabbaths, 364 days, 7 days a week, perfect. Every year, perfect. Just like our Father in heaven. He's perfect. He don't need a 13 month. He don't need to start his sorry, I got a bug in here. He don't need to start his year in the middle of dead winter. Oh man, he said don't worship the sun and moon and stars. Do not do it. People just don't understand what they're doing. They don't know. Deuteronomy 14:19. Or 4:19, excuse me. Get these pop-ups out here. Unless thou lift up thine eyes into heaven, and thou seest the sun, the moon, the stars, even all the host of heaven, should be driven to worship them and to serve them, with which Yahuwah thy Elohim hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. Yeah. So the sun, the moon, and stars praises their creator, our Father in heaven. All right. I hope that was a blessing and helpful. I don't know if it was, but a lot of people's we gotta throw away those traditions. I observed evening to evening Sabbath for a long time. Well, not a long time, a few months, but because I didn't know any better. Once we know better, change.